Possibility Seekers, it's me, talking today about the power of community. You've probably heard me say if you're going to push a boulder uphill, it's probably good to have some help along the way so you don't have to push it up the hill by yourself. Well, I think that I learned the hard way that trying to do things on your own in silo, independent of other people, is usually the harder way to go about it. So I've learned over the course of my life that being part of something bigger than myself, being part of groups, and being part of a community, a tribe, whatever you want to call it, a club, oftentimes has benefits that we don't see right away. So let me give you an opening quote today. Creating a life you love isn't done in isolation. Community shapes us, and we shape the community. So it's a message of intentional living. And I think that what I want to talk about is, having personal connections with people in your life and in your community allows you to show up in a much more impactful way. If you do things by yourself, well, it's great, but you can only have a small ripple effect. Whereas if you have multiple people throwing the pebbles in the pond, as it were, you're going to have a greater level of ripple and a greater level of impact and growth at the end of the day, right? So, the statistics are, this is interesting. According to a Harvard study, people with strong social connections have a 50% increased chance of longevity. That's interesting, isn't it? And I'll put the URLs in the bottom of the show notes. And also you think about what they say about the blue zones, people who live to a ripe old age and they're happy and well-adjusted. And you see these 90-year-olds and these 100 centennials, however you say that a person is over 100 years old. They have something in common. They're part of a community. They are part of something bigger than themselves, and they have socialization. Socialization and community are awesome themes that cross all sorts of longevity, productivity, happiness studies. It's this idea that when you belong to something and you're giving and you're receiving love and conversation and interaction and curiosity, you're just going to be a more engaged human on the planet. When you're a more engaged human on the planet, you live a happier, more fulfilling life. And that goes with work too. Like I am in the process of reading Carla Harris's Lead to Win book, which I'm just going to do a shameless plug for. It's really good. And this book has this reinforcement that being part of a group and being part of a cohort or being part of something bigger than yourself really makes a difference in leadership. And so if you want to be a great leader, you can't do it in a silo. You have to engage other people in a level of community that we build intentionally and that we foster intentionally, that we, create reasons for being part of a community and also makes us each, more impactful. I remember, when I was part of Vistage, and that was a great experience for almost 5 years. Hey, one of our members had a real hard time. She was going through a rough patch. And, she shared that with us and she allowed herself to be vulnerable, which she didn't feel comfortable doing with her company and her employees, but we were peers. So, we took turns calling her every morning and checking in and saying, how are you doing? What's today look like? Let's go. You've got this. Rock on. It's the idea that if you have somebody supporting you or you're stuck with right now you have a goal. And here's the thing, you don't know where to start, or you just don't know how to get it done. Who are you going to go to? Do you have answer people? Because oftentimes women in leadership, people in leadership are the answer people. They are the go-to people. So what I always say to people that are go-tos is, who do you go to when you're stuck at an impasse, at a crossroads, at an inflection point? Do you have somebody to go to share your challenges and troubles or goals with? And who's going to keep you on that path to that intentionality, to that end goal, to that thing that you want to accomplish with or within your life, within your relationships? You have to have a tribe that you feel comfortable being part of and comfortable going to when the shit hits the fan. And I'm telling you, I didn't learn this till much later in my life. So I just want to share, you know, I talk about in Secrets 5 and 6 in the book, the internal and external narratives, and how the stories we tell ourselves, you know, alters our worlds and our lives. Well, what story are you telling yourself? I used to tell myself the story that I wasn't a joiner, that I wasn't happy within the context of a group. And, you know, damn it, if I had something to do, I was going to do it by myself, and, you know, damn the torpedoes, and off I went. Well, here's the problem. I don't know what I don't know. And if the only person I take counsel from is myself, there's going to be very limited learning in that equation. And what is it? Where's my blind sights? Like what am I not understanding? Where am I getting caught up? Well, if I'm only taking my own counsel, I'm only going to know what I know. And that's not really helpful for growth. The thing about growth is you have to be challenged. And the only way you can be challenged is by somebody else's perspective. So think about that in a way, right? When you go to a dinner party, my favorite thing in the world is to have a debate, whether it's on politics, sex, religion, you know, everything, because that's what Europeans do. We argue, we debate the things that Americans say are taboo. Well, we go right in, right? We go 2 feet in. And the purpose is to have a debate and a dialogue. You leave friends, but you have an intellectual, curiosity-based exchange of ideas, which allows you to be thinking about things differently if you allow yourself to be thinking about things differently. If you're stuck in your dogma, and you're stuck in, you know, the way that you want to be, and the way that you want to surround yourself with people that think, feel, walk, talk like you, well, the chances are you're never going to really challenge yourself or grow in any meaningful manner. So, all right. So let's say you're at that dinner party, and the point is, if you didn't have that exchange, if you didn't have that community that you could say, hey, we're going to be friends after this debate on whatever, fill in the blanks, philosophy, religion, politics, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever it is, right? It's going to leave you a stronger, intellectually curious human. And ultimately, that's what I want to leave you with is, well, not per se leaving you right now, but I think that the thing that I want to get across is that people who feel connected to their communities experience a 20% decrease in mortality risk. Why do you think that is? Let me repeat that again. People who feel connected to their communities, wherever they are, experience a 20% decrease in mortality risk because we're engaged, because we're part of something, because we see the forest from the trees. So the net is, when you're part of something bigger than yourself, you have this feeling that when you wake up in the morning, it's going to make a difference. If you only have yourself to answer to and for, well, just roll over. Nobody's going to care. If you're part of a community, if you're part of a tribe, if you're part of something bigger, and you've made promises or statements or commitments to others for other things other than yourself, or even about yourself to others, that creates a culture of accountability and a culture of intentionality and a behavior that supports that culture of intentionality. So what are the behaviors that you want to set up for yourself that are going to have you show up successful, that are going to have you show up lit up? Well, the reason I started the retreat is because of this exact thing. I felt like I was an island unto myself, and I really wasn't leveraging the power and the amplification that being part of another group was going to be helpful to me. And then I realized that I had been not leveraging my friends and my connections and my network in a way that allowed all of us to rise and to, do better than being on our own. So the reason the retreat is meant, like, I'll give you an example. I'm using the retreat as an example, but this idea that we have women in the room that are up to something, and they all have something to say and do and want to accomplish for themselves, their lives, their relationships, their work, all of it. And so we become that sounding board. We become that support network. We become that accountability group. We become the thing that allows you to go faster and accomplish more in a better way. It's not so filled with friction and angst. And let me tell you something, I spent a lot of years being filled with friction and angst because I thought I was the only one that could do shit. Guess what? I am so not the only one that can do shit. I too need a support group. I too need somebody that's going to be like, hey, you've got this. What are you doing about this? And have you done that? And is this on track for you? And are you feeling good? Are you feeling lit up? Are you feeling like you're doing stuff that makes you happy? And if not, I'm sure other people have had the same feelings and the same experiences. So let's share them. Let's support one another. Let's be there for one another. Let's create this community and create a culture of we're checking in with one another. So it's, in my case, I'm creating this tribe, which somebody called the Monique Mafia recently, which I thought was kind of funny. And I wonder, let me know what you think of that, whether that has a positive or a negative connotation for you. She seemed to think that it was fun and spoke to what I'm trying to create in a good way. I don't know if that word is charged with anything negative, but in any event, this is, the event is going to be 4 days. And then after the event, we're staying connected. This is the foundational group that I want to create amongst my network that is going to be there for one another. And I will tell you right off the bat, we are going to be more successful in community than we will ever be by ourselves. And so that's what I want to leave you with. Think about your groups, think about your communities, think about your connections and your network and say, are they providing the joy and the amplification and the intentionality that I need to fulfill on my dreams and fulfill on my goals? Remember, anything is possible with the right amount of intention, planning, and action. Let your communities get you into action. And if you have any questions about that, give me a call, drop me an email. I'm happy to chat. Make it an outstanding day and an outstanding week. Speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.